Welcome back, guys. This is episode number 3 of Calm India. Let's begin with a story. And for this, we'll have to go back to late 1800s into Germany. This is the story of a very clever horse who went by the name of Hans. Now, Hans was a really remarkable horse because it seemed that he was capable of mathematical calculations. And everyone thought that it was a scam, but every time they tested him, he was able to give the right answers. He was trained by a German high school mathematics teacher. What started off as just recognizing numbers on a board. Initially, the teacher would just write a bunch of numbers between 1 to 10, and the horse would tap the right number of times. He then thought, let's push it. And he started asking him basic addition problems 5 plus 4, 2 plus 5, one digit sums. And remarkably, the horse seemed to give the correct answers. He then pushed the envelope even more. He started asking him multiplication, basic division, to the extent that they asked him the square root of 16 and he would be able to tap 4 times. Now, this was a seemingly unnatural feat, and no one had heard of an animal possessing this level of intelligence. In 1903, after lots of people had seen this horse doing this amazing feat, a commission was set up and they thought that maybe this is a scam and they wanted to figure out how he's doing this. Since the horse was trained by a mathematical teacher, he was not afraid. He said that this is not a fraud and you're most welcome to check it. By 1904, after an extensive round of experiments, the commission came out convinced that in fact the horse had the talent. And they were baffled, and they just could not explain how this horse is so remarkable. Ultimately, there was a psychologist who discovered something really interesting. In fact, the horse wasn't able to calculate or do any mathematical equations. He would just look at his trainer. And every time the right answer was approaching, the trainer would start getting more excited and he would tense up. What Hans was actually doing was reading his environment very carefully. Every time, if the answer is 5, by the 4th tap, the questioner would be getting really excited. And the moment the 5th tap would come, Hans would see something click and snap in the face of his questioner. And he would be able to pick up on it and he'd stop. For the longest time, this was able to fool people. But what this teaches us is that mammals, all animals in fact, and especially humans, are extremely attuned to our environment. Every moment, even without realizing, you are always interacting with your environment. And a lot of your behavior, your thoughts, and your emotions are guided by environmental factors. So let's get to the learning objective of this episode. In this video, we will learn how environment and thought shapes your behavior and what we can do to change it. And most importantly, we are going to be introduced to a technique called mindfulness, also known as the acceptance technique. So, even though our main focus for this episode is going to be thoughts and mindfulness, it's absolutely essential that we have a discussion about the environment. Now, what you surround yourself with on a daily basis is going to have a huge impact on your mental health and your mood. So let's talk about 4 aspects of your environment. Number 1, your residence. If you're in a negative workplace or surrounded by negative roommates, it's going to fundamentally change how you operate on a daily basis. Since you're on the other end and you're doing this course, I'm assuming that you're someone who wants self-improvement, who wants to grow and learn. Every single time that you want to take a higher step in your career, it's going to bring with itself a new set of challenges. And if you're already stressed out by the most basic items around you, it's going to be very hard to cope with all of those new stresses and stay within that limit that we spoke about. Number 2, money. All of us at some point of time or the other are guilty of overspending. Now the thing is that once or twice or thrice, it's fine. But if overspending becomes a habit, it starts incurring a small amount of guilt every single time. After a point of time, this piles up too much and it's going to give you a lot of anxiety. Number 3, social anxiety. This is what you experience. This is basically the nervousness that you experience when you meet new people or just people in general. Honestly, this was one of my greatest challenges throughout my college life, and I happened to come across something which helped me a lot. And I accidentally stumbled upon what we are about to learn in the next episode. It's called exposure therapy, and that's one of the greatest ways of getting over social anxiety. And finally, chronic pain. It's been estimated that almost one third of the world suffers with some form of chronic pain or the other. If you can take medication for your chronic pain, go for it. You should absolutely do it. Chronic pain is one of the most common sources of daily anxiety. And if you can take care of it, it's going to free up your mind a lot and it'll create space for growth and all the other things that you want to do. One of the coolest things that I've ever come across was this quote in a book which fundamentally altered the way that I perceived emotions. Back in college, when I was starting my obsession with psychology, I used to read constantly. I mean, I still do, but that was the phase where I learned the most. The quote goes like this: when you feel sad about something, there are two bad things happening to you. Number one, the event itself, and number two, your reaction to it. Let me give you an example. Say you lose your wallet, and then you start feeling really stressed out about it. Now, the fact is that not only have you lost your wallet, you've also lost your peace of mind. I know this might sound really silly, but for me, it was like this light bulb just clicked because this perspective just like it cuts through and makes this division. On one side of the divide is the event itself, which is out of your control now since it's already happened. In our example, the wallet is lost and you can't do anything about it. On the other side is your reaction to it. Now, this is something that you have relative control over, at least some control. And if you can grasp this principle, it's it's going to make life much easier for you. The moment I came across this, I started using it in daily life, and the results are immediate. For instance, even before this shoot, when I'm feeling nervous, I tell myself that, well, I have to do it. It's not like I'm going to run away. So I might as well approach it with confidence. I might as well stop or at least control my anxiety and nervousness. And it really helps. This kind of rationalization soothes your mind, makes you more calm. And this is the essence of the technique that we're going to talk about. This is the essence of mindfulness, your ability to think about thoughts. And the moment you can do that, it grants you a special power. It grants you the ability to actually go inside your head, observe your thoughts as they are happening in real time, and tweak them and change them and make them healthier. Um, Thoughts are usually divided into two categories. On one side, you have conscious thoughts, and on the other side, you have subconscious thoughts. Conscious thoughts are those which, let's say that you can hear them inside your head. For instance, I have a piece of cake lying in front of me, and I say, this cake, this is unhealthy. I should not be having this. And I promise myself that I'm going to be really healthy. But your subconscious desire is that you love desserts and you absolutely want to do it. This is an honest example. And this is the difference between conscious and subconscious thoughts. The important thing is to alter your subconscious thoughts because these are these little descriptions and belief systems hidden inside your head. And this is what primarily guides your behavior. The fact is that if at this moment you stopped all of your thoughts, you just flipped a switch and all of them went silent, your body within a matter of weeks would reset itself and reach the most healthy possible equilibrium. But as we're going to discover, or as you might know yourself, it's really hard to actually stop thoughts. Let's do a very simple experiment here. Pause the video and put a timer of 60 seconds. And for those 60 seconds, just think of a black cat. That's all. You have 60 seconds and think only of a black cat and absolutely nothing else. You can pause the video now. Right. Now tell me was it easy or hard? If you say that it was really easy and you actually did it, I cannot believe you, because unless you're a trained monk, that is extremely hard and very unlikely. We had the opportunity of interviewing some Buddhist monks from Bodhi Zendo. Now, this is a professional Zen training institute in the Perumal Hills of South India. Having engaged with professional meditators for years, they told us that even they could not control all of their thoughts at will all the time. So, what does this mean for us? Does that mean that we are trapped forever and that we can't really change our thoughts? No. In fact, this is where mindfulness comes in.